Welcome to Joellen's Kitchen. Today we're going to make homemade red beet eggs. So we're going to start with a dozen of extra large eggs, and we're going to put them into some water over here on my stove. So I'm back here a little bit, but we'll just get it started. What we're going to do is, I have this old gas stove. We're going to get the gas on, and I got to light it up. There we go. I already have the water in my container. Now the one thing I like to do is to add a half teaspoon of salt. I just measure it approximate in my hand to the water before I put the eggs in. Helps to keep them from cracking. And then I'm simply going to gently drop my eggs. I don't want to say drop, gently lay my eggs into the water. Okay, now we'll let the heat do the rest. Once it's boiling, it takes about 5 minutes to hard boil eggs. Our eggs are hard boiled, and so now we're going to crack them and peel them. I also wanted to mention that when you pick your eggs for boiling, they should be older eggs. Fresh eggs, they don't peel so nice. You end up pulling parts of the egg white away. So if you can get your eggs at least a week in advance and just let them sit in the refrigerator, you're going to find that they peel a whole lot easier than if you get fresh eggs off the farm, for instance. Just doesn't want to work. But once you have your egg peeled, what I always like to do, I put cold water on the hot water so that the eggs would cool down and let them sit a little bit. But I always just rinse it off, make sure there's no loose shells remaining on the egg, and then drop it into a glass jar. Now these happen to be old-fashioned mason jars, and I have 2 of those because a dozen eggs, I don't know if the red beets will fit into one. So you can do that, and then when you have your dozen of eggs cleaned, we'll add the red beet mixture. Also, I wanted to mention, if you don't have mason jars, there's these Pyrex containers that you can get at the grocery store, and they're pretty nice, and it's actually glass. You don't want to use plastic because plastic will, quite frankly, absorb the red coloring or dye, if you will, from the red beets, and also it can taste funny if you do it in plastic. So you want to make sure you make your red beets in glass jars or a glass Pyrex container, but something that doesn't leach color back and forth between the plastic and the food inside. So now we're going to open a can of our red beets. This is not a complicated recipe to make. It's rather simple. Here I have a can of red beets that I opened. I'm going to pour the juice and half the red beets into one jar and the other half of the red beets into the other of my 2-quart mason jars. Make a cup of vinegar and put half in each jar. There we go. And I'm also going to use another measuring cup. We want equal parts of vinegar and sugar, so I'm going to make half of a cup of white sugar and put half of that into one and half into the other. And also, if you've been watching my videos, you know that my hallmark for my Pennsylvania Dutch cooking, when I use sugar that is to have 1/2 white and 1/2 brown sugar. But the secret ingredient, in my humble opinion, are are the cloves. You need about a teaspoon of cloves, the whole cloves. And again, we're going to put 1/2 into one and 1/2 into the other. And they just give it this awesome taste. I can drink the juice because I like it so much. And of course you want to make sure that it's stirred around before you add everything. A knife is good to stir because you need a long handle. All right. Now some people like to add an onion to their juice, and that's cool. I enjoy an onion, but my husband does not like onions, so I leave them out for his sake. Keeps peace in the household. You know how it goes. So once you have them all mixed, what you do is, of course, tap the jars and stick them in your refrigerator. And they're best if left sit overnight so the red goes in a little bit. But as you can see, I can pull one of these out right now. The outside is already turning red, but to get the flavor through the whole thing, we really want to let them sit overnight at least. So plan ahead, but they're not hard to make. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make Pennsylvania Dutch red beet eggs.